Hi, you're listening to the Rav Dessler Giving Podcast with me, Avram Ziedman. Join us as we weave together philosophy, psychology, and Kabbalah to uncover a new depth to what it means to being a giver. In this podcast, I want to look at the attitude of giving and taking vis-a-vis business. Someone involved in business may have a bit of an issue with this whole concept of giving and taking and ask the following. So you're trying to tell me, Rabbi Ziedman, you're trying to say that that I always have to give and not take. Right. How on earth is that ever going to work in the real world? I can imagine I've just got, I'm going to open up a shop and I'll just give everything away and I won't take any money at all. Hello? Collapse. That's not the way the real world works. You can't just give. How on earth is anyone going to survive? Okay, it's important to give, but you also have to take. Well, I disagree. I believe you can be a successful businessman with just giving motivation. How so? Okie dokie. It is possible that a person does a giving action, but yet they're motivated by taking. And it's also possible that a person does a taking action, but they're motivated by giving. Imagine you get two shopkeepers, both, let's say, selling books. One can be doing it with the paradigm of taking, the other one giving. Let's go through the paradigm of taking. Somebody sets up a shop. He ideally wants to be able to get as much money as possible. When someone comes into the shop, he would love to say, "Can I please have all your money?" and just take it. But of course, people are not going to part with their money unless there's a reason to. So I notice that people require textbooks. They can't succeed without textbooks. And therefore, I create a shop selling books for the sole purpose of taking the money. When I give them a book with a smile, I am only doing it for the sake of what do I get in return. If there's a way I can just take the money from him, I'll do that, but I can't. And therefore, I give the book for the intention of taking the money from the person. That act of giving a book is solely motivated with taking. And therefore, it's not that I was involved in giving and taking. It was pure, unadulterated taking. But you could have, theoretically, another shopkeeper. And the shopkeeper says, how can my life have meaning? You know what? People have a need. They need books. And I can help them with that need and sell them books. Ideally, I'd love to give all the books for free, but you know what? I'm not going to survive. And I need to survive and live so that I can then serve people for longer. And therefore, when I sell a book, my motivation in selling a book is focusing on the other person. I'm so happy that you've got that book. I'm so glad to be of service. I want you to be able to gain from this knowledge. I will receive the money because with that money, I'll be able to use it to be able to live, to be able to sell even more books, to be able to help even more people. Same thing with a coffee house. One franchise might have the sole purpose of being able to take over the world and selling more and more coffees in order to be able to make more and more money. But do you know what Starbucks' mission statement is? Our mission is to inspire and nurture the human spirit, one person, one cup, and one neighborhood at a time. It's not that Starbucks is there to become as big as possible, to take as much money as possible. Oh, you cynic. No. The goal of Starbucks is to be able to enhance the human nature. And therefore, the more money coming in, the more Starbucks, and the more Starbucks, the more neighborhoods we are nurturing. Now, is it true or not? I have no idea. Did they mean it when they wrote that? I don't know. But is it possible? Certainly. That could be my attitude. Anything that I'm selling, anytime I have any business, my motivation is to help the customer. When I'm taking in for the greater means of how can I give more, it's not that I have to get involved with the negative for the sake of the positive. Even that negative is viewed as positive. When I am receiving the money, that in itself is a form of giving because I am motivated and using that money to be able to give later on. And if a person is focused on taking, and the only reason why they're giving that cup of coffee with a smile is because the smiles means you'll come back more and I get more money, even that act of giving the coffee is not an act of spirituality. It's an act of physicality. It's an act of self. In the Torah, there's a character called Hanoch, who we're told went in the ways of God. The Medrash tells us that Hanoch was a shoemaker, and with every single stitch he made in that shoe, He was unifying the spiritual with the physical. He was bringing lofty concepts from up above to down below. Now, when you read that medrash on a simple level, you'll think that what it means is as he was working, he was doing very deep Kabbalistic thoughts. He was focused on the most esoteric, lofty ideas as he was working. But Rabbi Saul Salanta says, how can it be that if he's paid to do a job, that he's focused on lofty concepts? If you want to focus on the lofty, fine, but not when you're paid to do a job. Rather, what was this unification of the spiritual realms with the physical realms with every stitch? Simple. Every stitch that he made, he thought, I want this to be the best stitch. I want this stitch to cause a person as much comfort as possible when they're wearing the shoes. With that, he walked in the ways of God. With that, he connected to the spiritual. Being a giver does not mean being a pushover or walkover. You can have a successful business. It's only a question of attitude. When you have this business, are you focused on the customer? Are you focused on others, or is it just a means for me being able to get? Today, I can be doing the same action as I did yesterday. But yesterday, I focused on self. Today, I'm focusing on the pleasure for the other person. I transform my actions into an action of giving. Be great. Be a giver. Transform your taking into a means of giving. This podcast was proudly brought to you by Gift, where we're on a mission to inspire and enable lifelong giving. If you've enjoyed this episode and want to continue exploring the art of giving with us, please subscribe.